Hi, this is Matthew. Going to talk about the next Chicago album. We go now to 1991. We've had Danny Seraphine fired as the drummer, the new drummer, whose name I'm not sure I can pronounce, but we'll look at it later. He comes in, and I believe it might be the last album on Warner Brothers. More on that in a little bit. But yeah, new album, a couple new drummer and some other session people are the ones we've had, and I think the guitarist from previously I think is there. We'll get into it. I didn't know anything on this. I enjoyed it. Kind of sounded a bit more like Chicago did before. / when I really heard them in the 90s, really kind of starts to sound kind of like that with some more variety in their stuff. Things didn't come out well on this album very well. They thought, well, hey, let's do our own thing then. If we can't get hits, and we just don't care. We just want to make our own music, and it doesn't matter. We'll get to that in a bit. I enjoyed this one. Different drum machine kind of sounds this time. It's very good. But there'll be some more stuff in a bit about why we'll be jumping to 95 next time. I'll get to that in a minute. We'll get there. And along the line, there'll be other albums that I'll have to just mention because I don't have. Some of them I just don't have. Some idea that I've heard that I don't. It would be hard to unbury them in boxes. We'll get into this though. See what we got on here and writers and everything. They just call it 21. No Chicago in front of it, just 21. Still have our side designations. This might be the last time that we see that. People have tape versions. I don't know if we have any vinyls, but I think this was on a vinyl. I don't know. Right around that time where it might have been only cassette only and CD only. I'm not sure. But we still have sides that we will get into. We start out with Explain It to My Heart, which did get put out as a single, I believe. As a Diane Warren song, a pretty good one. The one thing about this album, there are some weird reverbs on people's vocals that kind of make it hard to know what they're saying. Like, it sounds cool. It's very much a thing at that point. Also with this one, grunge was kind of starting to become a thing that people were listening to, and they really didn't, I don't think, promoted this one like they should have. There's some really good stuff on here that should have really been good singles, but they kind of backed off. What was happening in Warner Brothers, there was a bunch of management changes happening between now and when the next album would have come out, which I'll get into in a bit. But that was starting to kind of influence this kind of stuff. Go out to hit, it'll be really good, and then they decide to not really promote it. Jason Shiv was Bill Champlain on the vocals on Explain It to My Heart. Then we go to If It Were You. Jason Shiv, Baron Chef, and Tony Smith. Baron may be related to Jason. Vocals by Jason Shiv. You Kind of My Senses is next. Billy Steinberg and Tom Kelly. Vocals with Jay Schiff. And then we go to Somebody Somewhere, written by Jules Champlain, Dennis Majesty, and Kevin Dukes. Vocals by Champlain. What Does It Take is Jay Schiff and Gerard McMahon. Vocals by Jason Schiff. One from the Heart is Robert Lammett and MC McMahon or something like that. Robert Lamb. Yeah, this one has a nice swing going on. Has a swing tempo. If you know anything about jazz, it kind of swings a bit. And the horns do likewise. Yeah, much more different horn rhythms on this one. Side 2 has Chasing the Wind, which was also a single. Diane Warren wrote that one with Bill Champlain on vocals. She's still writing to this day, in fact, I believe. She's still in the business. Definitely was huge then. I think still writes for people now. We have God Save the Queen, which is interesting. I think it's kind of an environmental type song. James Pico and Jason Chef wrote that one. Vocals by Bill Champlain. And then Man to Woman, Jay Chef and Adam Mitchell with Jason Chef. Only Time Can Heal the Wounded. Robert Lamb and this McMahon person. Like some of these guys are probably, I think one of them's, yeah, we'll see. Robert Lamb on vocals. And then Who Do You Love? Bill Champlain and Matt Kiski. I forget his, yeah. Bill Champlain on vocals. Holding On is the last track. Bill Champlain and Tom Saviano. Bill Champlain and Jason Chef on the vocals here. Our only expanded sting was in 09 was the single edit of Explain It to My Heart, which I can't tell the difference in its length. There must be some. I didn't notice it. So unreleased material. Love Is Forever was recorded during the sessions. It's later on as a bonus track on an album called Stone of Sisyphus, which I'll get into just a moment. I'll talk about it. I will review it later because it came out later and has a different number. I thought it had this number coming up, but it does not. I'm glad I checked it because I was going to review it next and I said, no, I'll wait. Technically, it is here coming up, but it comes out later. Much like Guns N' Roses' Chinese Democracy did. Right about the same time, actually. Which I had forgotten. I remember getting this later, but I'm thinking back, I didn't. Secrets of the Heart remains unreleased, circulating unofficially online. This song was supposed to be on the final track list. Since I don't think it's ever had an official one. Holding On was found on demo form. It was recorded in 88 with Bill Champlain's wife Tamara on vocals and Dwayne Billy on guitars. It was supposed to be on 19 and it was not. And our people, the band, of course, Chicago, we have Dwayne Billy on guitars, uncredited, but does not play backing vocals. Sadly, he will be gone. He had some issues with like writing credits and things, and just they let him go basically after this. I believe, if I remember correctly. Oh no, it was part of the thing coming up. I'm going to talk about for a second. Bunch of on keyboards, lead backing vocals, brass arrangements. Here we go. The new drummer is a guy named Tris, T-R-I-S-I-M-B, or is it E? Interesting. I-N-B, I think, O-D-E-N. Imidin? Drums and percussion? I don't know how you pronounce that. Sorry, my friend. I don't know how to pronounce your name at all. I'm very sorry about that. Robert Lamb, keyboards, lead and backing vocals, brass arrangements again. Lee Logan on trumpet, flugelhorn, brass arrangements. He's Pickle on trombone and backing vocals and brass arrangements. Yeah, much busier on this album. Lots of President Woodwinds and backing vocals. There's a Jeff bass lead and backing vocals, of course. Additional people, we have Robbie Buchanan on keyboards, Tom Keane on keyboards, Efrain Toro on keyboards, Steve Porcaro on keyboard programming, David Foster acoustic piano. Oh, he's back again. Very interesting. Michael Landau guitars, John Keane on drums, Steam Vakupka on baritone saxophone. Hey brass arrangements. This Mac is Eco brass arrangements. Okay. And some writing. Our production guys were going to be Roberto Gaca, producer, engineer, mixing all. I think it's the last time he is used, at least up to this point. Ron Neves, producer, engineer on 2 and 12. Jim Mitchell, assistant engineer. Jeff Poe, assistant engineer. Alex Rodriguez, additional engineer. Recorded record plant, Hollywood, California. Camera recorders, Tarzana, California. Ground control studios, Santa Monica, California. So still in California for this one, especially that famous record plant. Deidre Miller, production assistant. Chris Cuffa, photography. Kosh Brooks, design, art direction, and design, it says. And that is it. What happens after this? In 93, they recorded a bunch of songs. They were going to make an album. It was going to be called 22. Gave it to the label. It was like, oh, yeah, this is great. Yeah, well, this is great. There's some hits on here. It's going to be great. It was supposed to come out in 94. As I said, those upper management things were happening and other stuff was going on. And yeah, nothing. The whole thing just doesn't go anywhere, disappears basically. Yeah, I think some people left who knew what it was. New guys were like, no, we want like stuff you did before, not this. No, sorry. Just shoved the whole blasted thing off into nowhere. Chicago, I think basically pretty much leaves the label after this. Decides to do their own thing. I think they let that Bailey guy go. We'll see, but it does come out, but it doesn't come out till 2008. So I'm not going to cover it here. Plus, as I said, it has a different number. It's 32 and not 22, so we'll get to that eventually. And I do own this one because it was that later stuff that I mentioned earlier. I thought it was later than that, but I kind of remember it kind of being around then. Also, the mythical Guns N' Roses Chinese Democracy, that album comes out also around this time period. I think, was it in 09? I can't remember, but I think fairly similar time frame to each other, if I remember correctly. But it becomes called. It was always just called Stone of Sisyphus, and I remember reading about it in high school. Like, what the heck? Kind of more what they wanted to do. It's still the same people, still the same kind of overall sound, but it's, I guess, more in their control. They do eventually get their whole catalog back, but don't put it out for a while. Then they finally put it out. Take one song off, add a few. We'll get to that eventually. Then we will now go to an album I own very early in my collecting of Chicago albums, which is not a ton of them, but I have a fair few. I have a few of them. This was a Christmas gift. I want to say, oh gosh, when did I get that for sure? Maybe 99-ish? 2007. And I got the greatest hits. Got two other collections. Got the live at the time. And somewhere I got this next one. We take a 180 and we go into cover territory. Not things from the time or from years past that they would have heard growing up. No, we go to big band songs, which that's what intrigued me in the first place. I'm like, oh, what is this lovely collection I didn't know anything about? It will be called Night and Day, so we will jump to 95 next time. And I played this album quite a bit because I was in band, of course. Played trombone anyway, liked jazz and big band stuff anyway, and thought, hey, this is cool, and it was. Obviously a 90s, mid-90s spin on things. But a very enjoyable album. I have not heard it in a long time, actually. I didn't know when oh gosh, probably over 20 years ago since I heard this thing. That'll be fun to go revisit next time. But I still enjoyed this one. Sad it didn't really get promoted. There was a lot of good stuff on it that I was like, oh, these are really good songs. Why do I not know any of these? Like, there's some really good stuff on it. You got your ballads and everything, but you got a lot of upper tempo things. The horns get some more things to do in some spots. Obviously, they're always doing something. They never left, but they get a bit more work to do, and they get a lot of work to do on the next one. I don't remember them playing anything from this live. I would love to have heard this live. That would have been fun. And there's some well-known songs and some huge writers of the period. We will get to next time, presumably on another label, since Warner Brothers just said, we didn't want to do anything with this after all. So how sad. The next album will get put out just a lot later, so we'll have to go to 95, and I thought my numbering was going to be messed up, but it was not messed up. I just didn't take into account where that album was going to go. And I found a list, and obviously Wikipedia will help as we go along also. But I enjoyed this one. Go check it out if you've never heard it. There's some really good stuff, even if it's not any hits, but I like Bill Champlain and Jason Shep together vocally, and there's some good guitars, some nice early 90s keyboards going on, some 90s drums happening if you like that kind of thing. The horns are still around, of course. That's just good. A bit more rhythms to work through. But I enjoyed it. But we'll move on next time to 95, and we'll hit the big band dance floors, as it were, of that day. Like mostly 30s and 40s. I think maybe a few things earlier than that, but I'm not sure on some of the copyrights on some of those. But yeah, we'll go to about 31 years ago next time when we next have this, and talk about night and day next time in the next video.